Let's dive into the nitty-gritty.
Face Off was released on June 27th, 1997, summer blockbuster. As you would expect, I think most all John Woo movies came out right around summer.
Yeah.
Popcorn movies. Budget of $80 million, and it made $245.7 million. So decent profit. I feel like this is probably one of the higher rated John Woo films because he was very famous in Hong Kong cinema, and he moved over and he did a handful of U.S. movies. I think like Hard Target was like his first movie with Jean-Claude Van Damme, and then he did Broken Arrow, which there's a few callbacks to Broken Arrow in this movie, which I actually really like Broken Arrow. And then he ended up doing the second Mission Impossible movie, which he just ruined completely, in my opinion.
This movie feels a lot like Mission Impossible 2 at times.
It does, yeah. And then he reteamed with Nick Cage and did Wind Talkers, that movie about like the Navajo code breakers.
Yeah. Didn't that get some Oscar buzz?
I think so.
Nominations?
I feel like it did.
I feel like it's really hard to not get Oscar buzz if you make a war movie.
Yeah.
Just make movies about World War II, just always.
Dunkirk.
I think it was also like it was a movie that, it was a story that hadn't really been told. I feel like at that point, the Navajo kind of, they put it into place where they spoke in the Navajo language, so there was no way for the enemy to decode that stuff, because how the hell would they know that ancient language?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like, the one thing I don't like about that movie is that Nick Cage's face is plastered everywhere for that, and he's definitely not the star, and is just kind of there to help them get to where they need to get to. And this was written by Mike Werb and Michael Collery. Mike Werb previously worked on The Mask, the Jim Carrey movie, and Lara Croft, Tomb Raider, which was the first Tomb Raider. Makes sense, right? I don't know about The Mask. I guess because of the face coming off.
No, he's
real good at writing mask parts.
There's some cheesy scenes that reminded me of some of the comedy in Mask.
And then Michael Colleary, who he won a Saturn Award for this film, which is kind of weird because it feels like Mike Werb wrote the bulk of it, but Michael Colleary, I guess he won a Saturn Award, but I don't think Mike Werb did.
Saturn Awards for sci-fi, right? Is that something else? What am I thinking?
I feel like Saturn's pretty broad. I don't think that it's like specific.
I was thinking
to one
maybe
thing.
He wrote the sci-fi aspects of the face procedure swapping. Maybe that got some buzz.
It's pretty scientific.
Taking the face off.
Realistic, I think. Saturn Awards are not affiliated with Saturn Films, just so we all know. Saturn Films, for those who haven't watched every single episode of this show, so Saturn Films is Nicolas Cage's own studio that he runs or that he owns. I don't know if he is running much. I feel like it's just kind of a medium for him to produce movies. It just goes under the umbrella of Saturn Films, which a lot of Nick Cage movies are Saturn Film co-productions. So I don't believe Face Off was, though. This was shot by Oliver Wood, who kind of got his start on Miami Vice way back when. But he's gone on to some pretty big stuff. Mr. Holland's Opus, Rudy, U-571, the whole Bourne trilogy, and I believe the new ones as well. And then has started working with Adam McKay with Talladega Nights and Step Brothers, and he's currently shooting Morbius, which is the Spider-Man, Spider-Verse.
They shot that like 3 years ago. It just
Did
hasn't
they?
come out yet.
Yeah.
That was supposed to come out in 2020. They filmed it in 2019.
Really? Wow.
It's been delayed endlessly. Always a sign of a quality picture.
Yeah, that's not a good sign. But it looked pretty. I saw the trailer, so it looks terrible, but it looks pretty. Looks like a terrible film, but yeah. Edited by Christian Wagner, who also worked on True Romance, which was one of my favorites. It was a very early Quentin Tarantino film before they kind of gave him the reins to direct for himself. But he wrote that, edited by Christian Wagner, who also edited Bad Boys, John Woo's Mission Impossible 2.
Yeah.
Fast and Furious 4 through 8.
Some might argue the best.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 5 Fast and Furious movies under Christian Wagner's belt, which makes sense. You watch this movie, it feels like, yeah, I can see some Fast and Furious in there. And then he did the new Suicide Squad, which I haven't seen. Yeah, Bad Boys. I haven't seen the new Suicide Squad. I haven't seen the other Suicide Squad, the first one, but I've heard that the new Suicide Squad with James Gunn is much better than whatever the hell that other one was that everybody just pretends doesn't exist now.
Wait, there's 2 films?
There's Suicide Squad, and then there's The Suicide Squad, you see? Very different. And then it was also co-edited by Steven Kemper, who also did Wind Talkers, and then End of Days, that Schwarzenegger movie, and then New Jack City, which is actually one of my favorites from the 90s. Mission Impossible 2 as well. Him and Christian Wagner worked together. And then the recent movie, The Meg, which we talked about a few times now on this
that's
show.
funny.
Different people who worked on that.
Yeah.
And then music by John Powell, who has done over 70 films, but Face Off was his debut. This was the first film he'd ever done. He did some TV and stuff, but this was his first, full feature film. He co-composed the Shrek score, and then also worked on the Bourne trilogy. Did Solo, Star Wars story, that movie, which was I think Rogue One was the first one that wasn't John Williams, but then Solo was the second Star Wars movie that wasn't John Williams. And then he's worked on a ton of recent animated films, non-Disney, like DreamWorks and Fox Studios, like the Ice Age series, Happy Feet, Rio, and then How to Train Your Dragon. I think he did all 3 of those, and then was nominated for an Oscar for the first one. Ratings, this is just fucking mind-blowing to me. 92% on Rotten Tomatoes. This when I found out that Face Off got a 92%, I was like, we can't just track Rotten Tomatoes because obviously this shit is skewed. There is something wrong with the way that aggregate works. But that means 92% of the people who rated it a 6 or above. Yeah. And there were 86 reviews. So, I mean, that's a pretty small amount rated it below a 6. It's like 3 people, 4 people, maybe. It's crazy to me. 7.8 out of 10 on 86 reviews. Audience score 82%. I can definitely see the audience loving this, but I figured critics would rip it apart. Metacritic 82% as well. And then IMDb gave it a 7.2 out of 10, which IMDb is a much bigger sample size, and it's just normal people going to IMDb. Yeah. So I feel like that's a little more accurate.
Yeah.
And then the cinema score for this one was a B+, so not the best coming out of the theater for a movie you chose to go to.
And yet it still got an 82% from the audience.
If you need further proof that 9/11 changed everything, this movie was pre 9/11. It was considered a great movie by the majority of people who saw it.
Oh, God.